Hi, I'm Mark Chivers. My basketball lineage goes back to 1992 when I was involved with the Tassie Islanders, then the Tassie Devils, then the Hobart Chargers, and recently the Hobart Huskies. I've been involved in sports administration since 2008 till now, when I recently retired. Back in my day, there was no basketball played at school. It was just football, winter cricket, summer athletics and swimming. So I didn't start playing till I was 16. I'd left school and I started over at Clarence, at the Clarence Stadium, playing in the YCW competition, and went on from there. So I went up and played in the local domestic competition and stayed there. And there was no NBL, there was nothing, no three-point line. I was never ever a great player. I was, I was probably average or a little bit above average, but that's about all. So I sort of played through, as I say, through the domestic competitions, and then as we developed, I sort of got involved in coaching, and just took off from there. I used to go and watch the Islanders train quite a bit when Jim Pappas and Ross Park were coach and assistant coach, and then an opportunity came along in 1992, I think it was, where Ross was coaching the Islanders, and he asked me if I'd be his assistant, and then I went from there had 3 years as assistant with the Devils, and then 11 years as coach of the Chargers. Yeah, well, Chargers came about through the Devils. Like in 1996 was the last year of the Devils, and the plan was that we'd be out of the NBL for 1 year. A basketball stalwart from up the Northwest Coast, Alan Hansen, who had just recently passed away, he got behind the program and developed a proposal over 1997 to go straight back in again. But unfortunately, the proposal was great. It was a great plan, but it was knocked back by the NBL in those days. So then the Chargers appeared, or took over from the Hobart Hornets, who were the CBA team in those days, and I just transitioned from assistant of the Devils to the coach of the Chargers. Billy Tomlinson, who was the coach of the Devils at that time, went on to Sydney, moved up to Sydney, and then it sort of opened a way for me to take on the coaching role. For me, it was 1997 to 2002 were our premium years. We had a great bunch of players, and we sort of kept a core group of players right through to 2002, and they were great. I mean, they called me the coach, but they really coached themselves. So they didn't need me that much to do anything. I just sort of call a few subs and do that sort of thing. But they were terrific, we still catch up, those guys that are still in Hobart. But obviously we had blokes like Dave Buer and Jason Pepper and Ben Harvey and all our local kids, the Andrew Beatties, the Paul Crombies, and that are of the world. Corey Davies that played right through that era and right through till I finished coaching in 2007. Some of those guys were still around, so it was very exciting. We went 1997. We went conference champions, made it to the semi-finals of the ABA. 1998 we went conference champions again. 1999 we made the playoffs, and 2000 we went the lot. 2001 was the airline strike, the Ansett business hit. So 2002 we won the lot again. So we were pretty happy, pretty chuffed. Even now, I think, the current Chargers team I think they'll be right up there at the end of the season as well. We've got a pretty good group. But it's always good to have it. The Thunder are the same. I think the Thunder have got a very, very good team. So Torns has shown it to us with the girls as well. So I think it's great. It's great for basketball in Tasmania at the moment that we've got very competitive elite teams. And as you say, it's always nice to have them come down here and give them a bit of a touch-up, and it's also very nice to go over there and give them a bit of a touch-up. In 2008 I moved to Melbourne for 10 years. I went over and took on the role as General Manager of the SEABL in those days, and did that for 7 years. And part of that time we moved and transitioned into Basketball Australia and became part of Basketball Australia, and then in 2015 I went to Sandringham, became CEO at Southern Basketball Association, did that for 3 years. I coached while I was over there. I was a bit restricted, especially when I was at SEABL, as to what I could coach. Obviously couldn't get involved with the SEABL program, so I coached in the Big V, and also the Victorian Youth Championship men, the under-23s, coached there for a little while as well, and then came back to Hobart in 2000 and whatever it was, a couple of years ago, and got involved with the Huskies for a year, and now here I am. Oh, it's sensational for us, I think, to have the JackJumpers in, and I think the big plus this time, which is the difference between us when we were with the Devils and when we were with the JackJumpers now, is that it's sustainable. You know, we were sort of on the knucklebone of our backsides with the Devils in those last years, just trying to hang on, and eventually it just got too much. You know, there was Bill Tomlinson as coach, there was Glenn Fair as the general manager, there was Sue Leadham who was running the office, and the rest of us were volunteers just trying to make the program go. Now you come in now and it's so much different with the JackJumpers. It's obviously the ability to be far more professional than what we were able to be in those days, and when you've got someone like Larry supporting it, it's always, you know, it's going to be good. You know you're going to be successful, and we'll be there for the long term. But now with Scott coming on board and him being very passionate about it, I think it's a great thing. It's only a small group at the moment, but I know within 12 to 18 months it's going to grow into, and more people will be recognised than what are now. The guys that are there now are names that pop out, I suppose, but there's so many more. When you come and speak to me, and I could name another 10 that should be there. You speak to everyone that's one of the Bloodline members at the moment, and they'd all be the same. So it's going to be very exciting if we can get all those people back and to tell a little bit about their history and pass that history on to the JackJumpers that are coming through, and also to be part of the basketball community again at that level. You know, I think it's going to be great if we can get them to the games and sort of recognise them at games for what they've done and the work they've put into Tasmanian basketball.